So we just finished talking about diffusion, which, don't forget, this is a form of passive transportation, meaning that it doesn't require any energy for those molecules to move. With diffusion, we were referring to any molecule, whether it's a solid, liquid, or gas, that moves from an area of high concentration to low concentration. Now, another form of passive transport is osmosis. Osmosis is the same exact thing as diffusion, except it only deals with the movement of water. So water, most important thing to think about with osmosis. So we're still moving from an area of high concentration to low concentration, but we're not talking about glucose, we're not talking about salt or oxygen or anything like that. We are only referring to water moving from high concentration to low concentration. So here I have an image, and we'll dissect this individually. We set up a beaker, we put a membrane down the middle of it, and on one side of this beaker we have this 20% sucrose solution. On the right hand side we have a 40% sucrose solution. So before I even try to think where is water going to move, we should figure out how much water is in each of these solutions. So in this case, sucrose is the solute and water would be the solvent. And the solute plus the solvent is 100%. So if this is 20% sucrose, then it must be 80% water. On the right hand side, we have 40% sucrose, meaning we must have 60% water. So identify which side has more water. And you should easily say, oh, the left-hand side. Left-hand side has 80%. That's a lot higher than 60%. So therefore, the left-hand side has more water. So this water is going to move from a high concentration, so from this left-hand side, to an area of low concentration, to this right-hand side. And that's what we see in this right-hand picture. Now, right here, we don't have as much water as we originally did. It moved through the membrane to the other side. It increased in concentration on the right-hand side. Now this is because it wanted to be equal. We wanted to have the same amount of water on one side as we did on the other, and we do. Here's a 30% sucrose solution, so that's going to be 70% water. And we have a 30 sucrose solution, so that's going to be 70% water. So we have 70% water on either side. Now, no, it's not the same volume. The right-hand side clearly has more volume than the left, but it doesn't matter. We want to know what is the concentration. One's not higher than the other, they're equal. Now, in this situation, looking back at this first beaker, sucrose could also move. We have more sucrose on the right-hand side than we do on the left-hand side. But we didn't see that. We only saw water move. Well, think about why. Look at the gaps in this membrane. That sucrose just couldn't make it through. It couldn't go through that membrane. So only water, which is a lot smaller, could move. So again, both osmosis and diffusion are both passive transport, meaning it doesn't require energy. They both relate to move from high concentration to low concentration. However, osmosis only refers to water, and diffusion refers to everything else, any kind of solid, liquid, or gas except water. Now, as I mentioned before, molecules can get in and out of a cell in two ways. So passive transport doesn't use energy, and active transport does. And think of the name active transport. If someone is active, they're using a lot of energy. Active transport means the same thing. You don't have to use energy to move molecules either in or out of the cell. Now, cells don't want to use energy. They want to keep that energy for other situations it may need it. So the only time it does this is if a molecule it needs, or it needs to get rid of, won't move any other way. If it won't move passively, then the cell will make it move by undergoing active transport. So a way to identify if something's going to move through passive or active transport is look at that concentration gradient. Passive transport is high to low concentration, whereas active transport is from low to high concentration. So take a look at this image. Here is the outside of the cell, so I'll make that with an O, and here's the inside. And this cell, whatever this cell is, it wants this green molecule. It already has quite a bit of it, but it still wants more. It still needs more. So it needs to use energy to pull those molecules into the cell. So it's moving against the concentration. It's going from low concentration to a high concentration. Now this happens pretty often in our cells. One example is glucose. Insulin tells the cells, hey, take in glucose, depending on how much is in our blood. Well, what if the cells already have a lot of glucose? Maybe there's a really high concentration in the cell and not so much in the blood. But they listen to what insulin tells them. If insulin says, yes, you need to start taking in some glucose, it's going to. So in this case, they need to use this ATP energy in order to bring in that insulin. Another example are plants. So we know that plants need nutrients. They need nitrogen, they need phosphorus, they need all sorts of different nutrients. Well, nutrients are hard to come by in soil. That's why we fertilize plants, because they need more and more nutrients. So anytime a plant root comes by that nutrient, it's going to suck it in. Those root cells are going to take in all those nutrients. We don't care how much that plant already has. The plant knows, okay, I'm not going to see phosphorus or nitrogen in quite a while, so I'm going to pick it up when I can. So let me draw an example to maybe help you remember the difference between active and passive transport. So here, let's say we have a dam, and on one side of this dam we have really high water, and on the other side of the dam it's pretty low. Now if I want to move water from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, I'm going from an area of high concentration to low concentration. So I'm going from a very high concentration, and it's going to go through osmosis, so the movement of water, to an area of low concentration. This doesn't use energy. If we're at a dam, all we have to do is say, well, let's open up a window, and this water will easily flow on out. We don't need to pump it out. We don't need to do anything like that. It's going to flow out all on its own. Well, now let's imagine I want to go the other way. What if I want to get the water on this side over here? Well, I can't open a window, because if I open a window, it's going to move in the opposite direction. This case, I need to use energy. I need to use maybe a pump, or I need people with buckets, or I need some sort of energy to get this really low water into this area of really high water. The same thing with our cells. If there's a lot on the outside and it needs to come in to where there's not that much, it's going to happen easily. It's not going to take energy to do that. But if it's trying to go against the flow, it's going to need energy. So that is it, you guys. That is the end of all the material you need for this upcoming test that's on Tuesday. Now, just a reminder about the test. You will need a pencil. Part of this will be on Scantron. You're also going to need a calculator. So, like the lab quiz, I'd let you use a calculator on your phone. You will not be able to on the test. So bring a calculator. If you don't have one, you should invest in one. I might have one or two floating around. This is not open book like the first one was. So no notes, no anything like that. It's just you and your brain. However, you will be able to earn extra credit on this exam. So I'm going to have a short answer section like I did last time. How I gave you, say, 9 questions and you chose 6 to choose from. Well, if you want to answer more, you can, and you would earn extra points on top of your test for answering those. So again, it's not open note. Bring a pencil and bring a calculator. Now there's a couple more slides in this PowerPoint that I'm going to cover in the next video. Now those slides are example word problems that you might see on the test. So what I recommend doing is after this video finishes, go through the PowerPoint, so the PowerPoint itself is posted on Blackboard, and scroll down to those last few slides and work through those word problems before opening up the answers video. There's no point in just looking at the answers if you haven't tried to work it out yourself.